Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Queen Osset here. Today is my final installation of the celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. I will put a link back to my first video, but this celebration begins on the 15th of September, and today is the last day to celebrate this beautiful culture. So once again, I do have some flashcards for you. So this gentleman right here is King Pakal, and King Pakal ruled over the Mayan Empire for over 60 years. The Mayan Empire covered modern-day Mexico and Central America several millenniums ago. Pakal began to rule this empire at only 12 years old. The Mayan Empire flourished during his leadership. During this period, the Mayans created amazing art and architecture found within the empire city of Palenque. King Pakal was buried with artifacts such as a dazzling jade mask, inscriptions, etc. And his keywords are leader, astonishing, and successful. And then we have here what is known as the Panama Canal. And it says that the Panama Canal was one of the biggest projects of all time. During the building of the canal, minority workers were treated poorly. They worked for long periods of time and were paid very little. The workers oversaw hard tasks such as digging the Culebra cut. This was a man-made valley that cut through the mountains. Thousands of people lost their lives in the shadows of this canal. The Panama Canal helped save time and money when sending goods via the Pacific or Atlantic Oceans. However, it came at a price. Well, many of my family members from Jamaica sought work when this was being built. They went to Panama, and many of my ancestors also come from Panama. And then we have here Abuelas de Plaza de Mayo. Abuelas de Plaza de Mayo. Las Abuelas de Plaza de Mayo is a non-profit organization that works to help families in Argentina reunite with their children. During the 1970s, the country was under a dictatorship that took children from their parents without permission and illegally adopted them. When the dictatorship collapsed, the government refused to admit what happened. The organization has proven that these illegal adoptions happened and have helped families receive justice. And the key words for these abuelas, which means grandmothers, caring, reflective, and outspoken. You know the history of Argentina. Anyway, don't cry for me. And this gentleman here is Victor Lidio Jara Martinez. Victor was a teacher, a poet, theater director, and a popular singer. He was important to the political and cultural movements in Chile. Victor uses music to give voice to those that were silenced. Sounds to me like Fela. He supported a government in which the community controlled businesses and companies. Victor would have free concerts and give political speeches in support of his beliefs. In his music, he advocated for peace, love, and equal opportunities for everyone. Again, sounds like one of my favorite musicians, Fela Kuti. And Victor's keywords are proficient, talented, and believe it or not, willful, very willful. Okay, so let's see. I'm not going to do a walkthrough, but Mari, of Mari in the Sky, is of Latino heritage. And I think I'm going to put a link if I can find a walkthrough of her deck. I'm sure there's plenty, but I back Mari. I mean, the cards are beautiful. They are. Everything is done with quality here. It comes with a beautiful guidebook. But I purchased this very big, luscious guidebook when she was doing a Kickstarter. So I can do a deep dive into this beautiful deck. So these are the backs here. And look at that. Look at the brilliant colors. And it does come in a couple of sizes. I want to say it comes in a pocket size as well. I do have one of those, but just look at the gorgeousness of this. Okay. And then we have, we'll put Marty aside. I'll see if I can find a detailed walkthrough. Maybe I'll come back with my own walkthrough. Put the guidebook aside. And then I have, oh gosh, who doesn't love Frida? You know, when you hear about Mexico, and art, it's all about, for me, it's all about Frida. So these are my Loteria cards that I bought, and they are much coveted. I can get the light off of that. And sought after, but they are cards that I enjoy. They reflect the passion of Frida and the culture, the Mexican culture, and just a thing that I enjoy. So, in that vein, another person who celebrates Frida is Gabby, Gabby Angus West. And Gabby is also Argentinian. Gabby created this deck. If you don't know Gabby's work, Gabby created the Bonefire, which, I mean, the Bonefire Tarot is intense, it's colorful. I trimmed off the borders. You can see I've been playing with it. Because you have the keywords, you have the card meanings and such on the cards. But this is not a deck for everybody. This is not, oh, wow, there she goes. My favorite. Look at that. Look at that Queen of Wands. Gorgeous. So, Tarot Avatada, I believe, was an ode, a celebration to Frida Kahlo. Look at that. Frida wrote a lot of letters. There was a lot of correspondence, especially between her and her mom. You know, Frida spent, unfortunately, most of her life, a lot of her life, in pain. And in spite of it, she managed to create such beautiful artwork. So, as always, Gabby, you've done a great job with this deck. I don't think, I have to search around the Tuberverse and see if there have been any walkthroughs. If not, then I will come back and do a walkthrough of that deck. You know how I feel about a guidebook. I mean, yeah. Okay. Now, moving on, I'm trying to, let's see. So, I'm sure most of us are familiar with both of these decks. Mudras for awakening the energy body and for awakening the 5 elements. And the illustrations were done by Sabina Espinet. And Sabina has created her own deck. It just came out, and I am really, really happy to have it. It's called El Camino. El Camino, ancestral wisdom for the journey. El Camino means the road. And so the cards are square. Sabrina comes from a heritage that is both Trinidadian, her mother, and Colombian, her father. And she says that this oracle was created for those of us who are, especially immigrants, who have our roots that are deeply connected in other worlds than the one that we currently occupy. She talks about a lot of the traditions being handled down through multiple generations. And she was able to tap into this huge bag of wisdom to create this deck, you know. And she says, you know, her immigrant story begins in utero as is steeped in Caribbean and Hispanic roots. Her walk began when her pregnant Trinidadian mother traveled from Canada to Colombia to give birth near her mother. I mean, like, her grandmother, who was Trinidadian, was living in Colombia at that time. Okay. Um, and then, she goes on about how she grew into her path, her journey, the emotional trials and tribulations, and all of that. And so, you know, it's just a beautiful deck. Oh, look at that. Grandmother. My grandmother's probably speaking a lot. She's been talking a lot the past few days. So there is a picture in here that I want to show you, and then I'm going to read what she says about it because it's important for you to understand. When I saw it initially, if I can keep myself together here. Adaptability. Look at that. Hibiscus. Pineapple means hospitality. That. So, let me read what she says in the book. Because when I saw that and saw it connected to, which many would deem is, what's that word? A demeaning, disparaging word. I was curious. I looked. And I'm going to say that I really appreciate what she says. Over the centuries, many women throughout the Americas were tried as witches by colonial inquisitors because they were said to brew bewitched chocolate drinks and love potions. Throughout history, witchcraft has been presented as something to be feared, when in reality, so much of it is harmless and simply comes from the spiritual beliefs of nature-worshipping indigenous and African people. Santeria, for example, is a religion based on Yoruba traditions brought to the Caribbean and South American countries by West African slaves. Christians feared these rituals so much that for decades Santeria was banned in places and had to be practiced in secret, giving it further association with the occult. Just because the behavior is different or we don't understand it doesn't mean we should fear it. Viewing unusual practices from another perspective helps us to grow and expand our way of thinking. And so, thank you. Thank you for that, Sabina. For those of us who, Santeria, Lukumi, Isheshe, yes, there's a lot going on publicly, but we still have to do a lot of our things in secret. So I'm going to do a walkthrough of this deck and we'll go a little deeper with that. But yes, I want to add that to my collection for celebration. This one, I discovered this from Annette's channel. Oh my gosh. Wow. It's beautiful. The Mesoamerican Oracle card, this was written by, I know the woman, she's a curandera, and her name is Erica Buenaflor. One of the things I'm going to say, I had an experience yesterday with this deck. Totally unrelated and yet related. I received an email from a person named Miguel saying that he had gotten a message from the post office that my deck was undeliverable and was going to be returned back to him. And he sent me the tracking number. And it was just wild because while I'm reading that email, I'm looking at the deck in my hands. So I just felt that extra touch of connectivity and positive customer service and, making sure that another human being is okay just went a long way with me. So yes, it's a beautiful deck. It looks simple. Don't get it twisted. I did a reading or so with this, and it's quite on point. Very, very poignant, very clear, and decisive with its messages that it delivers. So that is the Mesoamerican Oracle cards. And hopefully I'll remember to put links to all of these below so that you can get your own copies of these. You should. You should. You know I'm a deck collector, so. Okay. So now, let me introduce you to this tarot deck. So it's no news that I run a tarot deck orphanage. You know, decks that are going to be thrown away or given away, or people don't connect with them, I adopt them. And I got this deck in a trade for the Barbieri Zodiac deck. And I looked at it and I said, okay, I can understand why. The guidebook's in Spanish, and you know the imagery is not the best, and it's a Pippish deck. Not Pippish, it is a Pip deck, right? But then I learned the history of the namesake, Maria Lionza. Maria Lionza, according to the main legend, Maria Lionza was born in the 1560th century as the daughter of an indigenous chief from the region of Yaracuy. Her father sent her to live in the Sorte Mountain. One day, while she was by a river, an anaconda attacked and devoured her. From within the serpent, Maria begged the mountain for help. The mountain agreed, and Maria thus disintegrated and merged with the Sorte Mountain. Sometimes the anaconda is said to have exploded and caused the torrential rains that are common in the region. She is oftentimes portrayed as an indigenous woman, and she's riding a tapir. So a tapir is like a warthog. I can't think of anything else. It has curved horns. So Maria Lionza is sometimes called Yara, an indigenous alternative name, and according to some versions, Yara would have taken the name Santa Maria de la Onza Talavera del Prato de Nivar, or simply Santa Maria de la Onza, which is Saint Mary of the Ounce under the Catholic influence. So there are people who actually make a pilgrimage to this mountain, the Sorte Mountain, Sorte, to pay honor and respect for the week. Actually, the pilgrimage is taking place this week because it begins on October 12th. Let's see. Wow, there's just, she's connected with Spiritism, and you know, they go to the rivers and they pray, and all of the wonderful things to tap into this energy. There is a monument erected in her name, a monument in Caracas. Let's see. Oh gosh. Oh wow. There was also a statue of her that during the Bolivarian Games was outside of the Central University of Venezuela in the Olympic Stadium. I mean, there's just so much information about this this energy, this deity, this beautiful spirit. So I'm lucky and grateful to have this deck in my collection. So, now I also have here Andean healing energy cards. And I don't remember where I got this from, but it comes in a sleeve. So if you know me, I love anything to do with textiles, anything to do with patterns, anything to do with art and beauty and such. And so I'm going to introduce you to another deck at some point, the Shannon Cosmology, that talks about patterns in different textiles. We're going to get back to that in a minute. But I pulled out one of my big books here. All of these energies, they're just, as far as I'm concerned, interconnected. So in the guidebook here, it says that these cards depict a part of a cosmology that inspires us to deepen our connection to the universe by developing living, breathing relationships with Mother Earth, the sun, the moon, stars, planets, elements, and all beings seen and unseen. We cannot heal something that we are unaware resides within us. We must be able to first see and admit what troubles us, acknowledge it as an aspect of ourselves, and feel the feelings associated with it. I mean, it's just an amazing deck to work with. I feel it's great for self-healing. It's also another deck that I would recommend for shadow work. It's just a beautiful, energetic document that holds a place of honor in my collection. Okay. You know what? Let me put this back. Again, I'll come back and do a full walkthrough of this deck, but that is the Andean Healing Energy cards. Now, I showed you, I gave you a little glimpse of this, the Shannon cosmology of the Shipibo tribe. And there is an oracle deck, the Shannon Oracle. So you can use the book just for, let's say, bibliomancy. Each pattern is described, the energy of it is described within this book. And this deck, everything about it is amazingly beautiful. Everything about it is just fantastic. So it comes with a guidebook that's in both English and Spanish. And you get the meaning of the pattern that you're looking at, as well as how to apply that meaning. You see that? Or are you getting too much glare? So let's just take a quick look. They are glossy. They are large. But you can see the patterns here, right? So let's take a look. In the larger guidebook, this gives you the breakdown of the pattern that you're seeing here. And this guidebook gives you, let's say, the spiritual application of that pattern. So yeah. I'll do a walkthrough of that deck. I will come back to this. So that is called the Shannon Oracle, Shannon Oracle, Shipibo tribe, located, I want to say right now, the Shipibo, Peru, if I am correct. Let me take a look. My neighbors. Yes, Peruvian. I was right. I was just so immersed in a lot of this that I tend to just lose myself, my train of thought. Again, Annette, thank you so much for sending me down this rabbit hole. You know what? Let me go back. So I do have a printout here regarding the Shipibo tribe. I'm going to give you a little reading, a little bit of information. It is said, in mythic times, these patterns covered everything: the sky, the trees, the huts, people, animals, etc., in a continuous tissue of design. But due to the misdeeds of the failed proto-humans, This idyllic union ruptured and differentiated into floating, superimposed plains, the Nete Shama, meaning the sky world, the Mai, the earth world, and Jene Shama, the subaquatic underworld. Simultaneously, periodicity, which is day or night or time, mortality, and specifications appeared, and the geometric lineaments ruptured. Now they only appear on specific design fields, such as the upper parts of fineware pottery, people's faces, or the blades of war clubs. And that. So what this is saying is that cosmologically there was a time when you could look through your eyes and see and experience these images. And because of, you know, humans being humans, this world became fractured. So now you can only see these patterns limited, um, in a limited way. And usually the ability to see these patterns and have them come through is by the use of ayahuasca. And it does talk about that in the deck. So we're going to come back to that one of these days. Now, speaking of which, I received this deck. And I have to be honest with you, when I got it, I was like, really? I don't know. And the deck sat unopened. And again, I was curious about the work of Pablo Amaringo. And this deck was inspired by his work. His work is not in the deck, but the creator connected with Pablo's son, looked at some of Pablo's artwork, and then was inspired to create some of the cards. So Pablo Cesar Amaringo Shunya was a Peruvian artist renowned for his intricate, colorful depictions of his visions from drinking the entheogenic plant ayahuasca. And so that's where this comes from. All of this. So I should have to do a walkthrough for this deck. There was one card that I pulled that was, oh, I think it might have been this one. No, it wasn't that one. So, the Amazonian Angel Oracle. I had to give it a second glance. And so let's put this. The pile is growing taller and taller. I do have. Now, this deck here, wow. This deck is called the Tarot of the Quarantined Garden. And this is a deck that was created by who is he? Let me see. A biologist, ethnobiologist, was created by Okay, so this deck was designed and written by Venezuelan photographer Antonio Briceño. And this deck features 40 cards with gorgeous photographs of plants and animals. I guess I should turn them over. Plants and animals, all labeled in Spanish with a bilingual guidebook. Okay, the deck includes 22 major arcanas and 18 new auxiliary arcanas, an author-created group of cards meant to guide the reading in lieu of the traditional minor cards. Okay, so it's a fantastic looking deck. Like, it's incredible. But for an experience, go to the website. I'm going to put a link to the website. And just be warned, if you have a large screen TV, you are in for an amazing journey, trip, just the intro of this. So that is the conclusion of the decks that I have in my collection to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you so much, Annette, for opening the pathway, the door for me to really delve into my own collection. And I hope my viewers, listeners, subscribers, maybe you'll delve into your own collections and find that you might have a deck or two that also celebrates another culture other than our own, right? A culture that, we don't often think about celebrating, that may not be so obvious. Because let's be honest, especially if you're a deck collector, we tend to like a certain aesthetic. We have these decks and we don't know the beginnings, the origins of them, where they come from. We don't know the artists, we don't know the creators. And a lot of times we don't often spend the time to learn about the artists or the creators. Now, before I go, I am going to leave you with two decks that were created by two Jamaicans. So this is an indie deck, the Heart's Eye Oracle, and it's good. It really is. I'm going to do a walkthrough of this deck. It's an independent deck. We do have a little tiny issue. You can see I numbered the cards. But it's kind of like nature, spirit, semi-fae energy. It's the messages are deep and thought-provoking. Like I said, it's a beautiful deck. Those of you who are into cardstock being important, the cardstock is gorgeous. I will do a walkthrough of that. This young lady, I don't know if you can see that right there. That's her. It's a 40 card deck. This deck was created to help you delve into your innermost depths and guide you in your time of need. A hug in a box, something we all need once in a while. Olivia Rose is a Scottish Jamaican fantasy artist based in the UK. Most of her inspiration stems from nature and the energy she feels while creating. And so, yeah, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous deck. Okay? And I want to say congratulations to Wayne Rodney. His independent deck, I'll put the link to when I did a walkthrough of the independent MPC deck, I guess, 3 years ago. I fell in love with this deck when it was make playing cards. Well, his work was picked up by U.S. Games, and so now it's mass produced. I'm going to do a comparison because I have the large guidebook, and not much has changed, and I'm really glad that they did not water it down. They stayed true to his art. The card backs, of course, are different. I'm going to do a comparison. A lot of the artwork has been cleaned up, so to speak. I don't want to get these out of order because, yeah. But yes, the Global Fusion Intuitive Guidebook. And Mr. Rodney is a fellow yardman. I'm a Jamaican. So, yeah. This is a fantastic deck. So, thank you so much for being here, being patient with me, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, take care.